Namaste students. Now let us start with the next chapter, that is double entry system. Double entry system means that system as per which our accounts books are based as per we do accounting. Double entry system means that whenever any transaction occurred in the business, that transaction will affect at least two accounts at the same time. Like suppose if I have sold goods for cash, then at this point of time two accounts are involved. How? See, cash is coming into the business and goods are going out of the business, right? Sold goods for cash means cash comes in and goods goes out. It means that just because of this transaction two accounts are involved, cash and goods. So this system is known as double entry system. As per this system, because of a transaction, if one account is debited, another account will be credited by the same amount. Means if I take this transaction only, that sold goods for cash worth rupees 10,000, then the goods worth rupees 10,000 have gone out of the business and cash worth rupees 10,000 have come in the business. So it means the value of the goods which have gone out is equal to the value of the cash that has come into the business. It means debit is somewhere equal to credit, because जिस अमाउंट से एक अकाउंट डेबिट हुआ सेम अमाउंट से दूसरा कोई अकाउंट क्रेडिट हुआ. इट मीन्स दैट एज पर डबल एंट्री सिस्टम वन अकाउंट इज डेबिटेड, अनदर अकाउंट इज क्रेडिटेड. डेबिटेड एंड क्रेडिटेड मीन्स दैट आउट ऑफ कैश एंड गुड्स समवेयर दिस ट्रांजैक्शन, कि ये ट्रांजैक्शन या तो कैश और गुड्स की डेबिट साइड पर आएगी या कैश और गुड्स में से किसी एक अकाउंट की क्रेडिट साइड पर आएगी. मीन्स इधर कैश इज डेबिटेड और गुड्स आर क्रेडिटेड, और गुड्स आर डेबिटेड और कैश इज क्रेडिटेड. अब कौन सा डेबिट होगा कौन सा क्रेडिट होगा, दैट यू गेट टू नो इन द लेटर चैप्टर्स. So double entry system means the system which says that whenever any transaction occurs, that transaction affects at least two accounts. At least two, I said. It could be more than two accounts also. Fine. So first feature is double entry system means when like a system where at least two accounts are involved. Then recording is done through certain rules. As I told you just now that because of this transaction was goods sold for cash. Now which account out of goods and goods like cash and goods will be debited and which account will be credited, this will do. ये हम पढ़ेंगे कैसे, because there are certain rules for that. It means हमने किस account को debit करना है, किसे आप credit करोगे, there are certain rules for that which have to be followed. Then preparation of trial balance. See, as I told you, if one account is debited, other account is credited, it means the value of debit and credit is same, no? Goods of rupees 10,000 gone out, cash of rupees 10,000 comes in. अब दोनों में से obviously कोई एक डेबिट में जाएगा कोई एक क्रेडिट में जाएगा, तो ultimately debit is equal to credit. And I told you in the previous video lecture also that we prepared trial balance to check the arithmetical accuracy of the books, to check whether there are any errors in the books or not. Errors कब होते हैं? When debit side is not equal to credit side. Fine. So it means that we prepare this trial balance just to check this thing whether debit side is equal to credit side or not. If both the sides are equal, then there is no errors. So trial balance we basically prepare to check this thing. It means the trial balance has come into existence because of this double entry system only. Because of this system only, one account is debited, another account is credited. So I hope the meaning of double entry system is clear to you. A system in which our transaction will affect at least two accounts. If one account is debited because of the transaction, somewhere some other account will be credited but with the same amount. Now the next topic is all the like everything we do under accountancy, everything is there because of three golden rules. There are three golden rules which are applicable to three different categories of accounts. Got it? आप means बहुत सब accounts आप prepare करते हैं, but all these accounts they come under three broad categories. And what are three broad categories? Impersonal accounts and personal accounts. Or you may say real account, nominal account and personal account. सारा का सारा accountancy, all the rules of accountancy, everything falls under these three categories only. Fine. So what are the three categories of accounts? Is it there is real account, personal account and nominal account. Now what are these real, personal and nominal? First of all, check. Broadly, there are two classifications, impersonal and personal. Impersonal is again subdivided into two categories, real and nominal. So ultimately there are three types of accounts: real account, nominal account and personal account. Three rules are there, and those rules are applicable to these three accounts. It means one rule for real accounts, one rule for nominal, and the third rule for personal accounts. Now personal accounts again is classified into three subcategories: natural personal, artificial personal and representative personal. Now let us study what are these. I shall start with real accounts. Real accounts means accounts of all the assets. In simple, accounts of all the assets are real. Like land is a real account, machinery real account, plant real account, furniture real account, motor vehicle real account, computers real account, building real account. Then it means, in short, accounts of all the assets comes under real accounts. Whatever cash in hand you have, real account. Whatever bank balance you have, real account. Whatever tangible assets you have, real. Whatever intangible assets like goodwill, patents, copyrights, trademarks, everything comes under real account. So keep a note or make a note of this thing, that real account means accounts of all the assets of the company, whether these assets are current assets or non-current assets. It could be land, building, plant, machinery, furniture, motor vehicle, or you may say your goodwill, copyrights, patents, trademarks, cash in hand, cash at bank. Everything comes under real account. Then move to nominal. Nominal accounts, they represents they represents losses and incomes. All the losses, expenses, incomes of the business, they fall under the category of nominal accounts. Like rent paid, your business have paid rent, so it is an expense. So rent paid is a nominal account. Suppose you have received rent income. If your business is paying rent, it is an expense. If your business is receiving rent, it is an income. Same way, suppose you have received commission, you have received interest, you have received discount. So everything comes under incomes, no? So they fall under the category of nominal account. Similarly, you have spent money on purchase of goods, on or you may say on manufacturing of goods and services, on buying raw material, on printing, postage, stationery, or you have given goods as charity. So whatever expenses you are doing or you have incurred, all those expenses comes under the category of nominal account. Let's say your goods have been lost by fire, goods have been lost by theft, cash has been lost by theft, or there are bad debts. Bad debts means if the debtors, they refuse to give you the money, then all these things comes under the category of losses, so they are nominal account. It means all the expenses, all the losses and all the incomes of the company falls under the category of nominal account. Fine. Then the next is personal. Personal account means account of all the persons. Now they could be a natural person also, and they could be an artificial person also. Like if I talk about first of all natural person. Natural personal account means accounts of natural human beings like you and I. You and I are natural human beings. No, we can move, we can feel, we can see, we can touch. So we are human beings. So accounts of human beings comes under natural personal account. Like for example, capital. Capital is invested by the owner, no? So capital will come under the category of personal account. An owner is a person. The owner has taken the goods or the cash from the business for personal use. What do we call it? Drawings. Now drawings have been done by a man only, a natural person. So drawings will also come under the category of a natural personal account. Similarly, you have sold goods to someone on credit. Suppose I have sold goods to Ram on credit. Then Ram is a human being. So Ram becomes my debtors. So all the debtors comes under the category of natural personal account. Fine, so all your debtors, all your creditors, if they are human beings, then they are, they fall under the category of natural personal account. Suppose my business have purchased goods from Mohan. So Mohan is my creditor because I have not made payment to Mohan yet. Mohan becomes my creditor, but Mohan is Mohan is a natural person. Mohan is a human being. So Mohan comes under the category of natural personal account. Same way, suppose if the business has purchased goods from X Limited. मेरे business का नाम Reliance Company है. Let's say I have purchased goods from X Limited on credit. Now no doubt X Limited is my creditor, but X Limited is not a natural person. X Limited कोई human being थोड़ी है. Like Reliance Company is not a human being. Fine, so Reliance Company will fall under the category of artificial personal accounts. It means all the banks, all the schools, all the colleges, all the companies, they will fall under the category of artificial personal account. Means suppose if I have sold goods on credit to Mohan and I have sold goods to X Limited on credit, then they both are personal accounts. But Mohan is a natural personal account, X Limited is a artificial personal account. So artificial personal accounts means all the schools, colleges, hospitals, banks, CBSE board, everything they fall under the category of artificial personal account. Then last comes representative. If I prefix or suffix a word, अगर हम कोई word किसी nominal account के आगे या nominal account के पीछे लगा दें, then that nominal account becomes artificial personal account. Representative personal account. If I say rent, so obviously rent is an expense. Rent, or you may say rent paid. Now rent paid is an expense. No, logically we are paying rent, it is an expense, so it should have been under the category of nominal account. But if I write the word rent paid in advance, now I have added a word here, in advance, so rent paid in advance becomes representative personal account. Fine. If I say, let's say interest received, now interest received is an income, it should have been a nominal account, but if I write the word interest received in advance, then it becomes a representative personal account. If I use the word rent, again it is a nominal account, but if I add the word outstanding rent, it becomes a representative personal account. Got it? If I say interest received, then it is a nominal account, but if I add the word accrued interest, it becomes a representative personal account. So representative personal account means if I add the following word, if I add the word prepaid, if I add the word outstanding, if I add the word accrued or in advance with any nominal account, then that nominal account becomes representative personal account. If I say commission received, it is an income, it should have been a nominal account. But if I say commission received in advance, now in advance word has been added, so that becomes a representative personal account. If I say normal rent, it is a nominal account. If I say prepaid rent, it becomes a representative personal account. Got it? So these are the different categories of accounts. It is personal, impersonal. Under impersonal, we classify them into real and nominal, and the other one is personal. And personal is again subdivided into three broad categories: natural, artificial, and representative personal accounts. So I hope this point is clear. Now let's write some rules of accountancy. Write some rules. As I told you that there are three golden rules of accountancy. There are three rules only. As there are three main broad categories, no? Three main broad categories. Number one was real, nominal, personal. Three main broad categories and three rules are there. And one rule is applicable to real, another is to nominal, and the third one is to personal. Now let's see how. The rule which is applicable to real accounts. Real accounts means the accounts of all the assets. So what is the rule? Rule is debit what comes in and credit what goes out. Suppose if I say purchased machinery for cash. Now there are two accounts involved here. One is machinery, other is cash. Because of this transaction, machinery comes in, cash goes out. Machinery is an asset, cash is also an asset. So now apply the rule here. Just because of this transaction, machinery comes in, right? So whatever comes in, that would be debited. It means that as per this rule, we are going to debit machinery, and because of this transaction, cash has gone out. So whatever goes out, that should be credited. So I am going to credit cash here. I started with the example sold goods for cash. Fine. It means that cash comes in, goods goes out. Cash and goods both are assets. Now because of this transaction, cash comes in, goods goes out. So logically, whatever comes in, that should be debited. It means cash will be debited and goods will be credited. So I hope this first rule is clear to everyone. Now come to rule number 2. Rule number 2, which is applicable to nominal accounts. The rule is debit all expenses and losses and credit all incomes and gains. This is the rule. The rule says that whenever you incur any kind of expense, that expense should be debited, and whenever there is any income, that income should be credited. If I say rent paid, that you have paid the rent. Now think whether you have incurred an expense or you have earned an income. If my business is paying rent, हम rent pay कर रहे हैं, तो हम तो खर्चा कर रहे हैं. It is an expense for us, no? So rent paid will be debited. If I say I have received interest, then receiving an interest will be an income for me. So now as you have received income, that becomes an income for you, and income is a credit balance. Why so? Because as per the rule, we need to credit all the incomes. So we are going to credit interest received, but we are going to debit rent paid. Then third rule. Third rule is for personal accounts. What is the rule? The rule is debit the receiver and credit the giver. Debit the receiver and credit the giver. Suppose if I say that you have paid cash to Mohan, then who is going to receive the money? Here Mohan is going to receive the money, no? So you are going to debit Mohan's account. If I say cash received from Sohan, if I say that I have received cash from Sohan, then who is the giver of the cash in this case? Sohan is giving cash to us, so Sohan's account will be credited. So I hope this point is clear. I repeat it once again. Suppose I have paid cash to Mohan, then Mohan is the receiver. Fine, then I should debit Mohan's account. If I say that received, or you may say received cash from Sohan, then Sohan is going to give cash to us, no? So it means Sohan is the giver. So logically we need to credit Sohan's account. So these are the three basic rules, as per which the whole accountancy or whole accounting is, goes on. So I hope this point is clear to everyone. So now let's move to the next topic in the next video. Thank you.